The prosecution's theory in the Casey Anthony case is that Casey used some form of chloroform to put Kaylee to sleep and either overdosed her on the chloroform or used the chloroform as a prelude to putting the masking tape over her nose and mouth and smothering her to death. Whether or not this theory ultimately proves successful and results in a conviction, no one can know for sure at this time. However, the idea of parents and caretakers using a substance to put a child to sleep, often permanently, is nothing new with the Anthony case and in fact originated generations before. Mothers and caretakers of children in the 19th century were aware of a patent medicine called Godfrey's Cordial. It was marketed as the mother's friend and marketed to deal with colicky or cranky babies and to help children sleep. Godfrey's Cordial consisted of a syrupy substance known as treacle, watered down, flavored with spices, and mixed with a grain of opium. It was highly unregulated, and doctors were against the practice of giving this patent medicine to children simply because there was no way of assuring exactly how much opium was going into the preparation, and at the time doctors were aware that opium was an addictive substance. Mothers in 19th century England, often who had to work long hours or live in crowded tenements, found Godfrey's Cordial a useful product to keep babies to sleep or calm colicky, cranky babies and keep them from crying too much, and would often administer the cordial to keep their babies to sleep for hours on end while they went out to work or pursued other less legitimate occupations. Some of these mothers did unfortunately overdose their children, and the children died, and a few of the mothers were convicted on manslaughter charges. It could not be proved that they deliberately killed their children, but that they were negligent in their care by administering this preparation and leaving the child alone for long hours. However, there was a more sinister use for Godfrey's Cordial. In the 19th centuries in Britain, there was a practice known as baby farming. Women who bore an illegitimate child and did not want to face the stigma could put the child out to nurse with a caretaker who would provide nursing skills and hopefully arrange for the child to be quietly adopted by a family. Unscrupulous caretakers would arrange these adoptions and caretaking responsibilities for a large sum of money, and when the money ran out, the caretaker would simply allow the child to wither away and starve. Often this was done through the use of Godfrey's Cordial, which kept babies to sleep for long periods of time, where they would not want to eat and they would not make a lot of noise, and the children would simply fail to thrive and eventually die. The most infamous case of this was the case of Amelia Dyer, who was hanged in London's Newgate prison in 1896. She was a nurse, a midwife, and a baby farmer who would arrange for the caretaking and or adoption of poor women's children for a lump sum of money, and when the money for the child's care ran out, the child at some point simply withered away and died. Although Dyer was convicted on only one such case, there are indications that over 250 plus to 400 children might have died while in her care. One of her methods was overuse of the infamous Godfrey's Cordial. Other baby farmers also used this and were hanged in Britain, Australia, and New Zealand, many of them overdosing babies on this infamous product. So the idea of using a substance to unfortunately euthanize an unwanted child is not new.